giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Friday. Good morning. Good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We are streaming live on YouTube. And of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Coming up today, we have real live football to talk about. Yes, indeedy, and we are doing it with my brother, our Cowboys insider, Patrick No-C Walker. He's going to give us his boots on the ground observations from day one in training camp. We'll touch on a few notes from others as well. Before all that, though, I'm going to push through a lot of what was nonsense in the opening camp presser in the roundup. So just stick with me. Let's get through it. And then I promise you we'll get right to the nitty gritty. That is day one of training camp. Lots of good things to talk about here. And like I said, we're doing it with our guy, Patrick No-C Walker of DallasCowboys.com. Finally, Cowboys Nation, Bomb Squad, shouts out to you.
Bomb Squad!
We have real life football. Mic check 1, 2. I had to go out, come back in, and deal with some technical things. But mic sound good, music sound good. We ready to go? We straight? Because I don't want no interruptions. None. As we get ready to talk about day one of training camp on this wonderful, beautiful Friday. Swain, we are not going to play a single second of it, but I do want to address, it was a lot of BS, but I want to address one portion of it that was some BS because some people are buying it. But let's get right into it because we got Pat in a few minutes. All right, here we go.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Let me talk to you!
Hey, Anthony G, funny as hell. AG said, we're going to start off this thing by pissing y'all off. No, I'm not trying to do that. It was a bizarre press conference. Per usual, in my opinion. This isn't new. This happens every offseason. It mostly surrounds some type of nonsense contract talk or some type of lack of activity. Jerry and Steven took the air out the room, right? Mike McCarthy, I thought he was a hologram. I didn't even know he was there. I'm not going to dissect everything. I'm not doing that because we got real. Thankfully, they decided to do this on a day that had practice, right? So we can actually talk football. If they did this Wednesday, this is all we would have been able to talk about on Thursday. But I just want to quickly touch on something that Stephen Jones said when he was like, this is a unique situation. He was, meandering about how hard this is. And then Jerry Jones was lying about how, 3 players, if you pay them 75%, it's going to be 75% of your cap. Lies, sir. Shouts out to Jason over at overthecap.com. He tweeted this out. Of the 14 teams with $40 million quarterbacks, the Cowboys are just one of 3 without another $20 million player on a multi-year deal. The Eagles lead the NFL with 5. So it is not unique at all. In fact, all you have to do is look right in your division where your rivals are paying their quarterback 50 plus million, a wide receiver 30 plus million, another wide receiver 25 plus million, and 3 offensive linemen 20 plus million per. Mind you, that ain't even talking about the cap gymnastics you can do that doesn't make this, makes this work. And then you got Jerry talking about, well, if we pay them, it's 75% of your cap. I love what Jason at Over the Cap said. He was like, he followed up this tweet and was like, look, if you want to have the conversation about paying them, fair. Fair. But crying poor isn't the reason to not do it. Jerry literally went in front of y'all and cried poor. Well, sometimes the things I want, I can't afford. I swear I hope y'all didn't eat that up. Please tell me y'all didn't buy that. Please tell me. Here's the icing on the cake. Here is the real unique situation, in my opinion, Cowboys Nation. Ain't got nothing to do with contracts. Something that, shouts out to my brother Pat. He taught me down there at camp when I had the press pass for that day. He was like, hey, I was getting ready to take off after the camp opening camp presser. Or not opening camp presser, but one of the, I think it was Mike McCarthy was at the podium. And he's like, hey, don't go nowhere. This is where you get some good stuff. This is where you can get something that they won't say to you publicly in front of the cameras. So you go to the scrum, and this is where John Machota and the rest of Cowboys media followed Jerry Jones over, and he spoke for another 7 minutes. And Jerry, when asked from John Machota, when asked a follow-up question about CeeDee Lamb's contract situation, quote, I'm just going to say this to y'all. Give me some credit, okay? You don't think I'm good with numbers? You think I don't know how to add and subtract? Do I know how to talk and sell? I realize all the criticism and I understand it. As a matter of fact, I try to stir it up. And I have since I got here. That's good. Be relevant. It works.
What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn ugly ass on.
I mean, you can't do nothing but laugh, man, because he's basically just telling y'all straight to your face. We gonna get these clicks, man. We gonna get talked about. By hook or crook, I'm gonna stir this thing up. Yeah, I'm gonna be right here week one. You right, Jay. I'm gonna be right here week one. That's the real unique situation. It's not contracts. It's playing for a front office led by the Jones family, in my opinion. And I'm going to close it in on that. Let's get to some real football talk now, Cowboys. I told you I was going to push right through that because we got real day one training camp notes to get to in this week's version of the Scientific Method. And of course, you don't have a scientific method without the scientist himself, Patrick No C Walker. What's good, bro?
What's good, brother? It's 7 a.m. Pacific time. I'm adjusting mentally. I'm adjusting, but I'm up. Yeah, man, I'm up, y'all. I'm up cooking for the masses, man. I hope y'all love and appreciate this because the brother's struggling over here.
Bro, I hear it and I feel you. I think I texted you last night and was like, hey, man, look.
Yeah,
if you need some time, I hear you, dog. Because when I had to do this show on the West Coast, bro, I was up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and having to come on. It was not easy. But, hey, we got to give them the goods.
Yeah, this is what I do, man. So, time is always of the essence. And that being said, up and at 'em.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. First off, Pat, I want to thank you for asking a real football question to the football guy sitting at the podium because I was really getting concerned thinking that Jerry Jones and his billionaire status, he got a hologram of Mike McCarthy because he didn't say a damn word until you asked the question. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, man, it's my pleasure, man. I knew that there would be contract questions because that's justified when it comes to like CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons. What I did not expect was that of a 35-plus minute press conference that I would be like the first football question.
Wow.
So I was really just anxious to get to the football part of it. And like you said, it was kind of weird because, during that whole time, McCarthy really sat there with his reflective sunglasses on and had his arms crossed. And a couple of times I was like, somebody check this man's pulse, because is it a hologram? Like, is it like just not actually McCarthy? Is it a clone of McCarthy? And the other version is actually on the field practicing right now. So, yeah, it went well as far as the dialogue between McCarthy and I was able to get an actual football question in, and you could tell he lit up being able to talk about football, because the rest of the press conference was just talking about everything from contracts to stretching a dollar using bullshit, and it's just like, okay, all right, here we are. This is a training camp.
It's to the point where the PR guy was like, "Hey, y'all got any questions for Mike? Because we got practice in 15 minutes." So,
Anybody? I had like three. I actually had three questions for Mike, football related. But because of all the other stuff, I couldn't get to all three of my football questions. But it's fine, because there'll be plenty more times to talk to him.
Let's get to your on-field notes from camp, and you touched on a lot on Twitter. We can touch on those as well. And right off the bat, all eyes were going to be on a number of players. And one former first-round pick of last year was Mozzie Smith, who you said he looked bigger than he did a few weeks ago. And it was reported 310 pounds were at with Mozzie. Now, from a distance, it's hard to tell through footage. But can you kind of give us a up-close and personal take on Mozzie's physique and weight and just movement now coming off that shoulder surgery?
Yeah, I mean, from a distance, an elephant looks like a mouse.
Facts.
So I mean, you got to get up on them, right? And then when the elephant is in a pack of elephants, I mean, it's hard to kind of discern who's the biggest elephant. But so my main goal, I had several targets that I wanted to get footage of for you guys on yesterday, and Mozzie topped the list literally. So that's why he was. He was actually the second video that I tweeted. That was only because I had to walk past Dak and Trey doing their warrants first. So I was like, hey, let me pause and get that. So made a beeline over to the defensive line group so I could get a look at Mozzie up against, like a Carl Davis, the veteran nose tackle, and up against some of the other guys, like O said. Him standing there, even from that distance, you could tell that he put on weight. And then you saw him go through the drills, and the power is still there. So I know that for a lot of people, they were wondering, well, he slimmed down and now he has to put the weight back on. What does that do for the power? Was the punishing power that he was drafted with, did that wane a little bit and now he has to get it back? Well, as you guys saw yesterday, that power is still 110% present. He was punishing that sled. Now, that being said, as far as the weight is concerned, as he came off of the field, because yesterday I didn't see him, even though he was on the flight, I didn't see him on the flight. And I didn't get a chance to see him walking around campus. So my first time seeing him at camp was actually yesterday. So yesterday was the first time I had seen him since mandatory minicamp. So that actually gave me a good chance to compare what he looked like in mid-June, early June versus now. And even without seeing the reports of 300, 305, 310 pounds, he visually is clearly at around 300. So that is exactly where Mike Zimmer wanted him to be. That's exactly where, give or take a pound or two, he was coming out of Michigan. And it just goes to what Mike Zimmer was saying in the offseason program. They had a goal weight. Zimmer wouldn't say what the goal weight was, but he did say the goal is for Mozzie to get back to being that Michigan version, that nose tackle that eats up double teams and worries less about the pass rush. And to that I say, great, fantastic, confetti, because they're on track right now for doing exactly that.
Another player that I'm pretty sure was being viewed more than anybody out there was Trey Lance, and we talked about that last week. One of the players to keep our eyes on, and it didn't seem like from most reports it was a great day for either Lance or Rush. But kind of your take on the backup quarterback situation as the Cowboys opened up camp.
It was not a great day for either one of the backups, but I will say this: it's less concerning, if concerning at all, for Cooper Rush, because we know what Cooper Rush is, right? You know what you get from Cooper Rush, and to be honest, Cooper Rush could have another couple of bad days, and you're still not going to be worried, so to speak, about Cooper Rush, because Cooper Rush is going to be the game manager that you need him to be if he's able, if he goes into the game, which you hope never happens. But it's Trey Lance that has all the pressure on him. There's no pressure on Cooper Rush. He's the incumbent. He's the one that is proven. He's the one that's been here the longest, and he has to be beat out. Trey Lance is the one that has to do the beating out of Cooper Rush, and yesterday was rough for him. A couple of good throws he made, and let me preface it this way because I want to qualify it the right way. If you go back and look at the receipts that I dropped on Twitter during mandatory minicamp, I made a note that he looked infinitely more confident, more decisive with his throws. He was making some tight window throws. That Trey Lance didn't show up yesterday in day one. I don't know if it's day one Oxnard news nerves, I should say, because keep in mind, he was traded for in late August, so he wasn't in Oxnard. Okay, so this is his first Cowboys training camp. So maybe a little bit wide-eyed because he was a little bit indecisive. He didn't pull the trigger on a couple of throws quickly enough that he should have. I don't think he realized that the windows would close as quickly as they did close, but they did because the Cowboys secondary is not for games. Okay, when that window is there, you got to pull the trigger, and he didn't, and it resulted in a throwaway a couple of times. On another occasion, he had to run out of bounds just after he passed the line of scrimmage. So mixed bag, couple of good throws, couple of dead plays, a short yardage run. Nothing really that you want to write home about. He's really going to have to build a good day today and then stack on that. So Trey Lance, he's off to a rough start, but based on what I saw in minicamp, he has more he can bring. He just needs to bring it.
Just deciphering a little bit what you're saying there, it sounds like the processing. I had brought this up, I think, with Vach yesterday. That's something that he doesn't have enough reps on film to really get a good grasp at. And he can throw the ball pretty as all he wants. He can have the strongest arm. He can have all the athleticism that he wants. But the processing part is really what separates quarterbacks in the National Football League. And I think he's just going to have to go through these growing pains in camp and get out there and make mistakes in preseason. So by the time, hopefully, we get to the end of camp and preseason, he has the experience of knowing, okay, that window does not stay open for 3 seconds, right? So I got to get off of this read and go here. And if that's the case, then I think we will definitely see a better Trey Lance. But it doesn't shock me that early on it was a bit fast for him.
And it was. And even though what was a little bit concerning was you have to keep in mind as well, they didn't run full team drills yesterday. These were 7-on-7. So once full team drills start, it's only going to become more difficult. Yep. So that's why it's incumbent upon him to go ahead and get those Oxnard nerves out of the way yesterday and really start getting to showing what he can do effective immediately, hopefully as early as today. I'll be watching them again today. And because once full team drills come, those windows aren't going to expand. They're only going to get shorter, especially if he gets and he's going to get the second team drills as well. So yesterday he was getting some third team work, some second team work, but Cooper was getting a lot of the second team work. But once that flips and Trey starts getting the bulk of the second team rep, which is the expectation, and then that goes to full team drills, well, you're not going to have even as much time as you had on day one. You're going to have less to pull that trigger. So it's like you said, it's the mental processing. He just needs to speed that up. And to a degree, I think it's also just, like I said, a little bit wide-eyed because day one, Oxnard, with all of the media and everybody's cameras up on you, it's not the same as when you're at the Star and you're just kind of tossing around to a few cameras. I mean, this is national media in addition to local beat writers, in addition to the environment. So, again, I'll give him a little bit of grace in the aspect of maybe it was day one Oxnard nerves, but I expect to see better because I know he can do better. I saw him do better in practices out in Frisco, so he's got to translate that out to Oxnard or he's going to be in some trouble.
Pat, there's a lot of excitement about the young bucks that didn't play last year that got hurt in JSJ and DeMarvion Overshown. I have this like cautious optimism because Demo looks like a guy that could really solidify the linebacker room for a while, and JSJ he's a special receiver in the sense of he used to be a wide receiver and now he's a tight end. And they tore their ACL, and we both were like, all right, let's kind of give him some grace. But from all accounts, man, they out there moving really well. Has your opinion changed in regards to that? Or we're like, hey, look, they look good, but let's still hold tight?
They look good, but let's still hold tight.
Gotcha.
And the reason I say let's hold tight is it's just simply because these are two red shirts, and for as high as the expectation is, more so on DeMarvion Overshown, because he's the rookie third-round pick. Keep in mind, John Stevens Jr. is an undrafted guy, so there are not really expectations yet as much as there is hope for his upside because of what we saw last season. So kind of two different scenarios, but they both move very well. They both look very good. They're both bigger as far as muscle mass is concerned. Getting to the minutia between the two, it felt that although John Stevens Jr. was moving well, a little bit of his quickness wasn't entirely there yet. And I don't know if it's because he's in the process of retrusting his knee, or if it's a process of him trying to learn how to move his new mass, if you understand what I mean. Because he's added about 10 plus pounds of muscle, and that means his body is different, so he needs to acclimate to the new frame as far as going in and out of his routes and things like that. Demo, on the other hand, DeMarvion Overshown, although he has a new frame, having added 12 to 15 pounds of muscle, it looks as if he's more comfortable right now with it. So I think it's just a matter of comfort, because Demo was moving pretty quickly, but then at the same time, Demo doesn't run routes. Right. So you have to qualify it that way as well. So if Demo had to run routes, then I might be saying the same thing about him that I'm saying about JSJ. But nonetheless, zero negatives to take away from either of those two young men. They both looked great yesterday. I do want to see JSJ get a little bit more of his quickness back that he had pre-injury. I believe that will come over the next several practices as he learns how to move that mass in and out of his breaks. But on the clip I posted yesterday, he wasn't slow. Right, so let's make sure we're saying that he wasn't slow in and out of his breaks. He was just quicker last year, which makes sense because it was pre-injury and it was also a lighter JSJ. So give him a few practices to get that going. But they both look great. Physically, they look great. Mentally, they're great, and they were moving very well.
Let me quote this reporter who happened to be down there and gave some great takeaways. He says, Jalen Tolbert, wow. Confidence remains sky high from last season. And the back shoulder throw from Dak in the end zone put the offense on the 1 yard line, required unreal spatial skills, body manipulation to get his frame turned 180 degrees on a dime, and the soft hands to fully extend to snatch the ball away from the body to bring it to the catch, or bring it in for the catch again. Wow. Play of the day there, Jalen Tolbert. How'd he look first day training camp?
I don't know, man. That guy sounds qualified, whoever said that. I tell you what, when it comes to Jalen Tolbert, let me talk to you.
Okay.
Let me talk to you. Okay, we came into this training, hit of LA. We came into this camp, and we're, one of the most explosive battles that we expect to see is going to be the one for WR3/WR4. And we talked about Jalen Tolbert and Brooks and Cropper. Remember the law firm of Jalen.
Yep.
Okay, and we talked about Kevontae Turpin, whom I keep drawing a circle around, saying everybody needs to keep an eye on him as well. You got your rookie Ryan Flournoy. You got a lot of firepower there that you're trying to figure out who's going where. Jalen Brooks comes right out of the gate. Okay, gets a great catch from from Dak Prescott. Their chemistry is building. It's definitely there. It's apparent. But then Jalen Tolbert sees that, and he's like, oh, no. Anything you can do, I can do better. And so here we are. He gets a middle deep pass to the right, back shoulder toward the pylon from Dak Prescott. Jalen is running. His back is turned. He doesn't see the pass yet because he's still in his route. Also, credit to Dak Prescott, because that was as anticipatory a pass that I've seen, right? That pass was in the air well before Jalen Tolbert came out of that break. Jalen turns around, spots the ball coming, immediately leaves the ground, turns in midair, full extension, both paws on it, reels it in, brings it into the body, goes to the ground, completes the process. It's a catch at the 1 yard line. It was absolutely the play of the day. And then on the very next play, because if one Jalen can do it and two Jalen can do it, then three can do it, right? Jalen Cropper, toe dragger on the out route for the touchdown to the left from Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott, in a matter of one series, had a good catch from Jalen Brooks, a highlight catch from Jalen Tolbert, and a toe drag highlight catch from Jalen Crawford. This wide receiver battle is off to the races.
I'm excited for it, man. And it's like Tolbert picked up where he left off at Oxnard, because he came out of Oxnard to me looking like a totally different player. And that eventually carried over to the regular season. Now he'll get more opportunities, I believe, in the regular season with Michael Gallup gone, and maybe Brooks as well, and Turpin. These guys get thrown in the mix. But I'm starting to want. Look, it's day one, so I'm not gonna go too far. But I've stamped 6 receivers on this roster. If the other Jalen makes plays, day after day, week after week, game after game in the preseason, you might have to think about knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, either you on the IR or we're going to carry 7.
Yeah, when it comes to the numbers game, teams, they figure out the numbers game. And, if you happen to cough that day and they need a roster spot, then, you might have just come down with a sprained ankle. And you're like, Coach, all I did was cough. And you're like, yeah, you coughed so hard that you're limping now. Look at that limp. Your gait is completely off. Oh, get in here, Britt. But, all jokes aside, this is going to be a seriously difficult situation trying to cut down, a wide receiver room that has Jalen Tolbert and Jalen Brooks and Kevontae Turpin and Jalen Crawford. And then, of course, you have Tyrod Billy Johnson with his speed. You have Corey Crooms, the undrafted guy that I say keep an eye on. You have Cam Johnson. And, of course, one of my favorites coming into camp is, like I said, Ryan Flournoy, who is just an athletic freak, and I'm going to get some more eyes on him today. It's not going to be an easy task, but, it's a problem that you love to have.
Real quick, you tweeted out that Micah started off with the D-line, was out over there during drills with Coach Scanina. And I love how Coach Scanina was coaching. I know it seems silly, but I don't know, man. Just seeing coaches interact, football's in the air. So he was coaching up Micah Parsons on the sleds. But it also sounds like right off the bat, Zim and Gunther are moving him around and doing some coverage things with him and doing the things that Zim said, hey, look, we're not just going to have him on one side, hand in the dirt. We're going to mix this up a little bit. And Micah said, I got to learn to do some things that maybe I wasn't doing before. And I do wonder if that's more coverage stuff, linebacker things.
It's a great question, but not one that can be answered after day one.
Not answered? Okay. Got it.
Because it can't be answered after day one and obviously I, did my best to be all over both of the fields because, you've been there, set up as 2 fields and they move around quite a bit. But, if anyone who's there yesterday can correct me, by all means do so, like on Twitter. But I don't recall seeing Micah with the linebackers at all yesterday. Every time I saw Micah, he was with the defensive line and he was with the edge rushers. So that tells a lot. Now, of course, this is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Right.
It's a 31, 32-day training camp. So I'm sure Micah Parsons will get work with the linebackers. That's a foregone conclusion. Question is, what's the ratio going to be, right? So if he's doing 75-25 with the defensive line versus linebacker group, then that tells you what Mike Zimmer's plan is for him. It's to rush him off the edge, 75-80% of the time. So I'll keep an eye on what that ratio looks like. But yesterday, it was whoppingly in favor of him being on the defensive line. And that's why you saw him getting so much work over there and then getting coached up by Jeff and Greg Ellis and the guys.
Do you have time for one more update on one of the injured guys?
Yeah, what you got?
Luke Schoonmaker. You tweeted out he isn't showing signs of his healed hamstring troubling him. He had a good catch we saw via Twitter, your Twitter actually, and you seem to come away from day one impressed with him moving around and him being healthy. Because for me, that's a start for Luke Schoonmaker.
It is, and when you talk about Luke Schoonmaker, unfortunately, you have to talk about health at this point. Plantar fasciitis last year deleted all of his training camp for the most part, and now this year he starts the offseason with the hamstring issue that deletes most of his offseason program. Thankfully, he was able to escape being put on the PUP list, so he was in practice, 7-on-7 drills, and he was getting some work in. And looking at this clip that you post, if you see, the break looked good on the inside break seam. the catch more than anything, because Luke Schoonmaker, he struggled last season with bringing that ball in, and that interfered with some of the chemistry building between he and Dak Prescott. So him making that catch, him running that clean route, him being confident in his lower half to be able to step in and get out of his break, to plant and get in and out of his break, that was definitely promising for me to see. For Luke Schoonmaker, now it's about building upon that. You were doing it yesterday, do it again today, do it again tomorrow. And then while you're doing that, however you can avoid injury, just avoid it. Because at this point, that's the big thing for Luke Schoonmaker. It's not at all the football IQ. So I'm not even going to say not necessarily. It's not at all the football IQ. It's, can his body remain healthy long enough for him to become an impact player alongside Jake Ferguson? That's what we're trying to see. So I think for Schoonmaker, there's two things that everyone needs to look to assess, which is what I'm analyzing for him. One, is he going to be an actual threat as a target from Dak Prescott? So that's one, because we know he can block, so that's a given. I want to see what his hands can do on those catches. So that's one. But that's secondary to the primary, which is ask me again next week if he's healthy, and then ask me one more week after that if he's still healthy. And then if the answer is yes and yes to both of those questions 2 weeks from now, then we are trending in the right direction for the former second-round pick.
Well, Pat, we are going to do exactly that. We're going to ask you next week about Luke and everything you saw. And the good thing about, the following, weeks for training camp with you coming on the show is that, we can now recap the entire week or at least, 2 or 3 practices, however many practices they have, or possibly a preseason game once we get deeper into camp. So that'll be great. We can kind of list down your top things you've seen during the week as opposed to day one. Day one's tough. It's the first day out there. You can't take too much away. But we do appreciate you giving us your boots on the ground observations, and look forward to it next week, brother.
Oh, we are so back, man. And ladies and gentlemen, just remember, and new wrestling. So if you're wrestling fans like Steele and I are, and KD and Josh Rodriguez, make sure you go follow And New Wrestling on all the platforms, and subscribe on YouTube, and get the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of that good stuff, man. Come on, man. Tap in.
I just dropped the stinger. Make sure y'all follow, man. Like I am always impressed with how you cover the Cowboys. I might be more impressed how you cover wrestling. I mean, dude, what can't you do, man? What can't you do? Appreciate you, dog.
My ex-wife says a lot. But we'll leave that there. Let me get that. Let me get some breakfast so I get this work for y'all, man.
Get some rest, big dog. Appreciate you. Love you, man. We'll see you next week.
All right, bro. Talk to you soon.
I ain't finna give my guy a trophy. Patrick No-C Walker with the scientific method. Like I said, man, I love that we have this unique relationship inside the building with a guy like Pat, where he can bring us on the field each and every week. We'll also have another guest likely next week, if not after that, but I'm pretty sure. So we're going to keep y'all locked, man. We're going to keep y'all locked on what's going on down there. Obviously, we have our own notes we can go on Twitter and take a look at and pull away from. And due to time constraints, we can't necessarily go an hour with Pat, at least this week. I'm not sure. Maybe next week. Like, we could have won an hour, but today we couldn't. So there were some things we didn't touch on. Offense line situation, right? You got the rookies still having to earn it. One thing I took away from the offensive line notes from what I heard out there was Cooper Beebe struggling with the shotgun snaps. That can't happen, right? Like, we talked about this yesterday. And this is why I said if he can snap the ball, because that's the fundamental simple thing. If he can snap the ball, the rest you deal with. If he cannot snap the ball, then that's troubling. So he's going to have to get better with that. But that was probably the biggest offensive line thing I took away from, was that, BB is trying to figure it out, snapping out of the shotgun. Not that him or Guyton's not starting yet. That'll be something that will get there. Still think there's going to be a little bit of... But personally, in a good way, Because if you listen to what Steven said, the way he was talking about Guyton and BB, it was like, I'll be damned if they're not going to play this year. Now, they just can't be terrible, but they're going to have to earn it. But I still fully expect to see Cooper Beebe and Tyler Guyton out there. Now, if I had to pick, say, hey, Sky, both aren't going to start, who you think will? I'm going to lean towards Guyton because first round pick. I think he does things better than Chuma already, just because he's athletic, more athletic, longer, the length, things like that. And where BB, he's learning a new position. So if I had to pick, I'd go Guyton, but I'm hoping both of them are out there. AG said, the only thing I'm worried about is him snapping his defender's necks. They need to put his big ass out there. Hey, I told you I'm willing to work through the growing pains with Coop. But all jokes aside, gotta be able to snap the ball. I always bring up, who was it? Phil Costa. I bring up Phil Costa a lot jokingly, but one of the main issues with Phil Costa was snapping the ball. Now, on the flip side, like Phil Costa wasn't good and he couldn't snap. Y'all remember Andre Garrard? Andre Garrard was a Pro Bowl center. I mean, one of the more underrated guys during that era, by the way. Shouts out for him for taking that boot to the face or cleat to the face from Albert Hainsworth. But Andre Garrard kind of reminds me a bit of Karibi, a guard, put him at center, was strong, was athletic, was smart. Boy couldn't snap to save his life, though. Like Garrard struggled with snaps his whole entire career at center. And you just said, hey, we'll live with the few errant snaps a year because he was playing to a Pro Bowl level. I'm not saying I want BB to errantly snap the ball a lot, but if he's an Andre Garrard, I'm living with that. Yeah, Chris. Loved Andre Garrard during his time here. Extremely underrated. I mean, that time, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can remember this. Leonard Davis, Andre Garrard. We were towards the end of, the Hotel Flozell Adams. I loved that line. Even though Flo was deaf in his one ear, it was full starting every week. Leonard Davis, mind y'all, my apologies for going off I'm trying to think. Yeah, Terrell Owens. Leroy Glover was a little before that. I'd argue, man, and this is just off the top of my head, I'd argue Leonard Davis might be top 5 free agent signings in the 2000s. I don't even know if it's arguable. Multiple time Pro Bowler. I think he went All Pro 1 or 2 times. Likely the last time the Cowboys, outside of Brandon Carr, spent legitimate money on a high pedigree former first round top 5 draft pick, and it paid off. Hardly ever did they spend money like that. No, you're saying Doug Free was there? Was Free there? I mean, Free might have been there, but I don't know if Free was a part of that line. I can't remember, but I remember Flo, Andre, Leonard Davis, and those guys I believe play with each other. I believe. And then we kind of switched over to Doug Free and Kyle Kozier and Costa and Mackenzie Bernadou, and it was awful. It was awful until they hired Jason Garrett to be head coach, and Jason said, look, you want to reminisce about the 90s, then let's do this thing. Then let's build this offensive line back up. And he helped Jerry pick an offensive lineman in the first round for the first time ever in 2011 or 10. Can't remember which one it was, with Tyron Smith. 6804 said facts. Leonard Davis held it down. Totally agree. In fact, there was, I remember Leonard Davis on the way out. People were like, oh, he's done. Man, he went to San Fran. It was still good. D Shift said this O-line is the best since 2016. Whoo. Wait. Shift, come on, call in, brother. Talk to me. Let me talk to you. Talk to me. D Shift. This O-line is the best in 16. I'm gonna let you explain that, and then I'll rebut. Colombo, Davis, Garrard, Koger, Flozell. That was the line, man. See, I couldn't remember who else was there, but that's a tough ass line right there. Mark Colombo was a mean Mark Colombo. You don't know about it, was wrestling. Mean Mark Colombo on the right side. Davis, Garrard. I thought Koger came in later, but if Koger was there too, I mean, he was that kind of veteran. And then Flozell, Adams. Yeah, man. Underrated. My bad. We're supposed to be talking about training camp, but I went down this rabbit hole. So on the field, we touched on a lot with Pat. Like I said, not too much else to take away on the field. The offense line situation with BB. All the Jalen's were making plays. Really hard to get a gauge on running back. Running backs, linebackers, damn near impossible, man. The best thing to take away from there is, okay, who's getting the snaps? Well, linebackers in coverage, but linebackers against the run is hard to take away. For running backs, who's getting the snaps? Do they look fluid? Do they look good in space? You know, they can't tackle. They can't bring down. They're thumping when they do put the pads on. For me, running backs' time to shine will be preseason. That'll be time to shine. That'll be the time to shine. Lee said on paper. What's on paper, bro? The O-line? I'm curious. I'm curious to hear shifts because maybe it has potential to be, but even if you go to any of the lines post 2016, those lines still had Travis Frederick for a couple seasons, Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins. You know what I mean? Zach Martin. They may have not been 2016, but they weren't. You know what I mean? Then Travis leaves. 18, I'll give you 18 was weird. I think Travis came back. But again, even after that, hard pressed for me to take this current line over any of those other lines. I mean, currently, especially with Zach on his way out, with two rookies. I mean, you might not even have a rookie, bro. You might have Brock Hoffman starting at center. So it's just way too early. I think way too early. Yeah, I mean, if you want to use potential, then I can't argue with potential because we're just guessing that this line could be better. But Zach's going to be gone. All right. I mean, Zach's not going to come back. I don't know. It's a fun conversation, though. Fun conversation. Is that you? Somebody calling in. Yeah, D-Shift call. Come on, brother. Talk to me, D-Shift. Why is this line the best line since 2016? Tell me.
Okay, maybe I'm at 17. Because 17, they were still Frederick didn't get the Guillain-Barré syndrome yet, right?
Yeah, he left 18. I believe it was 18. He came back in 19.
All right, I'll say 17 then. Like, I wouldn't include 16 or 17. Of course, those are better offensive lines. But everything beyond that, I'm just considering the Joe Looney's, Connor Williams of the world. McGovern was that McGovern-Connor Williams stretch was pretty big. And I'd rather, Tyler Smith, all-pro.
So you're saying post-Frederick, so 2020 on, basically.
Yeah, post-Frederick, yes.
Post-Frederick.
Sure. I think
a conversation, you could have a funner conversation then. Anything that involves Travis Frederick, Tyron Smith, and Zach Martin on the same line with Lyle Collins still here, I don't even think we could really have that conversation. But post-Trav, which was 2020 on, you can now say, well, Lyle started dealing with the injuries. Tyron barely was playing.
When you get the big injury, the car accident, the hip?
I want to say it was the either 19 or 2020 off season. He came in out of shape, and that hip thing happened. And in 2020, I know I think it was 2020 because we had Terrence out there. Remember, we threw Terrence out there all year. So and Terrence was not that 2020 offensive line was terrible.
Yeah, big time projection on my part, man. Honestly, because
I hope you're right.
I'm just with BB, you know what I mean, and like you know, kind of you don't want to hear what the news about BB Guyton, but I'm also like thinking about postseason, man. Like start weeks 1 through 8. Yes, you got to take care of your business. You definitely can't be in a conversation if you have this many liabilities in the front. But like you know, the first part of the schedule is going to be tough either way. I think you're going to get more your easier games on the back half. So like I think initially, we got to go through like little bumps and bruises or whatever. But I think come postseason wise, I think what you'll be able to do with those guys, I just think it's going to be a real serviceable offensive line. Like not serviceable, but like real. It's going to be pretty good.
Solid. Where you at on the BB thing? Would you? Is it concerning for you with the snaps, or are you just like, hey, let's let them work through this because we need them out there?
I'm with you with the Garrard thing, man. I really was trying to go like straight for like just interviews and what was going on like this day in 2013 when Frederick, was a rookie. And I was just because I really remember Frederick just kind of being, we got to work him in type, with what they're doing with BB and Guyton.
I don't know.
Then all of a sudden,
the negative coming away from Frederick year 1 was when he went up against Dontari Poe. I remember that against the Chiefs. Poe was just so much for Trav. But that year was the year where DeMarco Murray and the Cowboys run because they almost completed. They got Zach the next year. But Frederick and I think it was Tyron. Tyron went to left tackle, Frederick at center. You started to see the run game start to pick up a bit. And a lot of that had to do with Fred. Fred Beard is what they called him. Yeah. And then the next year is when everything just took off.
Tyron's first year at left tackle was 2012, and I remember him being like horrible. Not horrible, but like, young.
I thought he was better at left tackle than right tackle. Right tackle, he wasn't the greatest. Then they moved him to left, and he started to. I was like, oh, this dude is, yeah.
Well, in his defense, he didn't have a lot of help either, and that's why like a guy like Guyton, that's why I'm kind of inclined to like let him kind of throw him in the fire because he has a lot more help than
throw him in the
what
fire.
You seen like Tyron Smith had. Zach came into a great situation, but like Tyron didn't really have a lot of help, on those offensive lines. So I don't know. Like I know there's a lot of kind of not panic around the O-line, but questions.
Rightfully so.
But I don't know. Like
that's fair to have questions.
Healthy still. Martin coming, playing from camp. He's getting older though. BB strength. Tyler Smith year 3. He, Floor's already all pro, so that's that. And then you just got to do something at left tackle, I guess. Hopefully Guyton will grow in. But I don't know. I just feel like it's better pieces. I'd rather that than I don't want to go back to like Connor McGovern and Connor Williams at left guard. That pocket's just so important, I think, for Dak. I think he can live with guys coming off the ends. Voch, talks about it all the time. Like, him being adapt to being able to play like that. That's pretty much what he's played like his whole career.
Yeah, I don't think he has the Irvings or the Cams out there. So I think he'll be good with the bookends.
Exactly.
Yeah, the middle of the pocket is going to be important, but we need BB out there to secure that part of it. And then the wild card, the important piece for the future, not necessarily for right now, Nate Thomas. If Nate Thomas can be the heir apparent to Zach, then I think you got a ton of power in the middle. If it's Bass, I don't think he's as powerful, but I do think he has a high football IQ, so you still might be able to deal with some interior rushing. Yeah, good depth. Yep. Good talk.
Need to talk about the depth as well. So all right, Scott, man, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. Good talk, man. Good conversation. We got Maserati Marv said after day 1, I'm calling in the camp, man. What's up with you? Was you down there at camp, Marv?
No, I didn't go yet. He told me to wait. But it's law. Law say next week.
Well, how far you live from camp?
I live right in Hollywood, so it's about 35, 40 minutes.
Oh shit, Marv! I'll be down there every day.
Yeah, but they ain't got the. I might just drive down there.
I'm just messing. See, I would be down there every day if I was that close because job purposes. But as a fan, fortunately, I didn't have to go through the whole fan aspect of it every time I was down there a couple years ago because the whole press pass and covering the team. But I could see how it could be mad annoying. The lines are crazy, bro. I mean, I'm talking miles. It's like it's a couple miles just to drive in and park. You got to get there mad early. Then they pay. They make you pay for everything. I mean, they make you pay to go on the other side of the field, man. And if you leave, you lose your seat. It's really not. I hate this. I'm not trying to pull the curtains back, y'all. I don't think it's the greatest experience. That's all I'm gonna say. I've heard from in the years past when it was before they did all this grandiose spectacle thing, it was so much better because it was just, hey, they're practicing, get in here, first come, first serve, and it was great. Now it's all about trying to make bread. But my bad, Mark.
Yeah, it was easy. I used to go when it was easy. Now they want that money.
They want that money, bro.
Money. It's all about the money. I like that backup when they ask him that question, and he just babbling along.
Who's that?
I said, "Come on, Jerry."
Oh, Jerry.
Dude, yeah, I said, Jerry, man, number 88 should be in camp, bro. You trying to tell him about, gotta pay $3. Man, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Them players mad. Them players mad at Jerry. Them veterans. That's why Dak Prescott is like, you know what? I probably think if I was him, he probably said, man, take that trade thing off me. If he do that,
no, that would have had to happen a long time ago, man. Dak too much of a stand-up guy to do that right now. Yeah. But he did say, look, I grew up watching a bunch of all-time greats that I love watching the game that want to play for a different team. So I ain't scared of you, mother. What Bernie say? But Bernie said,
I ain't scared of you, mother.
So, hey, if I gotta go play somewhere else, go play somewhere else, man. He is so comfortable in his skin right now, knowing the leverage that he has, knowing his stance. Yeah, knowing his stance with the team. And honestly, we might see, and he even kind of arrogantly threw it out there. I think we're starting to see a little arrogant Dak. I think we need more of that. But he kind of arrogantly threw it out there where it's like, hey, man, you either getting better or you're getting worse. And I tell you right now, I ain't getting worse. So I think we might see, which is crazy because he was MVP last year, in my opinion, the best Dak again. Second year in McCarthy.
Me too.
He's free. He ain't worried about that damn contract. He know he getting paid, period. He loves his teammates. He knows the expectations, right? So, hey, if they do go into the season without it, I think you're going to see him play more free than ever.
Yeah, me too. He gonna light this thing up. And everybody gonna be shocked. I'm not shocked. It's just it's gonna come down to call the plays. Got some good plays.
Yeah, sure. Game planning is always is
like the Rams
key,
did,
especially in the playoffs.
And the 49ers. Yeah, don't call them do stupid plays, man. But that's why I got to get the coach. That's why he got their offensive coordinator. You know the run guy, like we always talk about.
Boston College.
Yeah. To help them. So you get that going, you're going to be done. But the receivers going to be turning it out. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I always felt like I was a bit on an island going into the draft where I was like, look, if they don't take a receiver early, I'm not tripping because you got 4, you still got 88, Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson. And then if my 3, 4, and 5 guys, a mix of dudes that have skills that, I can use in certain ways. Then Dak is going to go 4,500, 35 plus touchdowns. He's going to do his thing. He's done his thing. For me, the receiver question was more about the future, and more about maybe having another veteran, not another rookie. Now, if one of those special guys fell to you, sure, but I don't know. I always felt like they'll be fine this year in that sense. It'll be about in the playoffs. Game planning, because you got enough, Marv. I truly do believe you have enough at that position once 88 gets there, healthy to cause damage. You do, but it's about being able to put those guys in the position. Let's just use the team that beat us, the Packers. The Packers didn't even have a bona fide one, but they had like 4 guys that they were able to put in position via their scheme that killed you and was productive. Dallas has a better top of the roster at the position, so I don't see why they can't do damage. But that's just me, I guess.
And that's what my plan. Now you ask this question: if the Rams, pick what's that receiver from the Rams?
Puka Nacua?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about him?
Wait, what pick was he?
Oh, fifth rounder.
Okay. You just answered my question. So you telling me we that dumb that one of our players can't do that? And you got to remember, 83 played in the SEC.
Brooks?
Why? Played more competitive.
I don't know about I don't think Puka. I don't think Brooks is.
I didn't know about. You didn't know that guy was gonna come like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nah, but Puka. But when you watch the two, they aren't the same. Like they literally play different. Like Puka. I get it. He's in a scheme that helps and everything. I don't think Brooks can play like that. I think Brooks is more of a possession guy. Go up and get the rock. Contested catch. Puka Nacua is dangerous after the catch just as much as he's dangerous in contested catch situation. Puka Nacua ran in the gauntlet last year, ran like 24 miles per hour in a football drill. People look at his speed in game, or his was it 4.540 or something, and said, oh, he's not that fast. But on game speed, he was, I think, the fastest in that drill, and that translated on the field. I think what you see from Brooks is what he is, and that's fine, but I don't think he's a Puka Nacua. Like, I don't even think he's close to that.
I'm talking about, no, I ain't saying he's fat, but I'm saying one of our receivers, like the kid I like, Flory, that's the one I want.
Flournoy?
He's fast.
Yeah, Flournoy, I think, is more physically gifted, than probably Tolbert, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just saying, somebody out of the blue.
Yeah, Puka like that, see.
Yeah.
You saying somebody step up. I mean, right now, Tolbert is in the pole position for wide receiver 3, and he's not giving it up just yet, Yeah,
thank you. But I just, I got confidence in them guys. I just, that's why I keep telling my friends, man. But like you said, it's the Rams offense, different plays,
Sure.
So, but I'm just happy to see. I'm going to go down there. I was thinking about going there in a minute, though. I was like, I'm putting up in the, should I try down there today?
Man, all jokes aside, get down there when it's best for you. I do know, as a person that has to travel there, I always elected to go once the pads came. Well, one to go. Let me say that. I mean, only be down there.
That's what he said. That's what a long time. Wait till the pads come on.
Pads come on. That's what I would like to be there. But yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the pads because they're gonna be here for a whole month.
Yeah. They're gonna be for a while, man. Hey, I was about to get to another caller, but appreciate the call, Marv. Hopefully,
yes, sir.
When you get down there, you can give us a call and let us know what Maserati Marv saw.
Hey, once you go online, I'm gonna turn you up and call in. Say, hey, I'm here.
Got you. All right, big dog.
So yeah, good show, man.
Thank you. Roy asked a question in the chat. What do I think about Turp pushing Cooks for wide receiver 2? I don't think that's a thing. But if you'd have said 3, maybe the conversation. I don't see Turpin being a wide receiver 2. I think Turp is still more of a reserve role type of player in this whole thing. Wide receiver 2, a lot bigger responsibility. He's even smaller than Brandon Cooks. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a place in the offense. That doesn't mean he can't have a role. But as my second guy, if something were to happen to Cooks, or I'm sorry, to Lamb, nah. Definitely not in this offense. Hell, even Cooks is kind of undersized for that position. But no, I don't think he's better than Cooks. But as a, I don't want to use this word disrespectfully, but he kind of does gadgety things. But as a wide receiver 3/gadget player, I love to throw him in that mix. But I don't know if I want him lining up on the outside, down in, down out. I don't know. I would have to see that. I'd rather Cooks out there. Cooks is still damn good. Like, I feel like we kind of just missing Brandon Cooks here. You know what I'm saying? Terp is a jet sweep stretch guy. Yeah, Terp, that's why I said I hate to use the word gadgety, but he does that really well. I don't know if Brandon Cooks is, I'm sorry, I see Turpin. I don't know if Turpin is going to be running the full route tree just quite yet. Cooks can run all the routes. Professor O said, do I think the two-back talk is real? I felt like we heard similar convo last year. Exactly. Love to see Lipke used correctly. Professor O, you know what I took away from that? It wasn't the two-back talk. Because he dismissed that right away. Well, you know, everybody got to get out there. But this is what he said, Professor O. But Hunter Lipke, you know, he also can do one-back things. He got really excited when he said that. But I'm with you. We heard this last year. We heard this last year. They're going to use Hunter Lipke can do one back thing. And then what happened? We got to the end of the preseason and they put Hunter Lipke out there against the Raiders in the last, against the backups and the Costco guys. And he looked damn good doing it. Got to the regular season. Hunter Lipke was doing fullback blocky things all year. And he struggled to be a fullback early in the season. And then he got better as the year went on. But Professor, I don't trust McCarthy just yet in that sense. It's going to take the first quarter of the season for me to get gain real trust on how this running back room is going to be. He said running back by committee. I don't even know if I believe that just quite yet. I think they have backs to make a running back by committee work, but then you hear stuff like, yeah, we think Hunter Lipke can do single back things. Goal line for short yardage. I mean, if the answer to your running back situation is to throw Hunter Lipke out there in a single back formation, half dozen or so times, they got this whole thing ass backward. But fair enough, Kelvin. He said, I don't trust anything until the pads come on. Is BB going to get majority of the preseason snaps? If BB is designated the second team guy, I think you have to give half of the snaps at the very least to the other guy. I think you have to, because he needs the reps too, right? Like, he hasn't played center for the Cowboys for years. He hasn't snapped the ball to Dak Prescott for years. Did it a few times last year. Sure, he's got the experience, sure, but he needs some reps too. That's all I'm saying. My thoughts on Trey? Preseason, man. I'm not going to take too much away from the. Actually, we'll see. We'll see what happens in 707. But I need to see Trey get all the preseason reps, and then I'll be able to have a better thought. But right now, it sounds like he's still quarterback 3. Both quarterbacks struggled yesterday. I really don't. I'm really not swayed one way or the other emotionally with Trey like a lot of people are, because a lot of that has to do with Dak. I mean, there are literal goofies out there that hate Dak so much they say Trey Lance is better. I mean, it is silly to me. It's silly. It's okay if you want to see Trey Lance in the preseason and training camp and see where he goes from here, but it's absolutely, and yes, take all offense if you want. It's idiotic to say this guy is better than Dak Prescott right now. So I'm not one way or the other with him, because I don't really expect him to be here long term. But I hope he goes out there and he performs well enough to do one or two things. I said this before. A, solidify the backup position, give it a better upgrade. Or B, if they realize that, hey, this isn't our guy moving forward, they can flip him. But he has to play well enough to be able to flip him. But I don't see Trey as a long-term answer. The best I see, we used to call it a transitional champion. They still call it that in wrestling. He'd be a transitional quarterback. The answer is to, if you're moving on from that, the answer is to draft a quarterback. I don't want any more excuses about paying a quarterback X amount of dollars. And if you say, well, Trey's not going to cost that much, if Trey plays the way a lot of you want him to play to push Dak out, he's not going to cost you anything less than $25-30 million. Probably not less than $30 million. And then you know what's going to happen, y'all? Jerry and Steve are going to come out here and say, well, you know, it's hard to pay other players around Trey Lance because we have to pay him a big contract. And I don't want to hear it. If we're going to move on at the quarterback position, get a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. And I would love to hear your excuses now if they don't go out here and get active. What's your excuse now? We're paying Micah and we're paying Lamb as if there's not other teams out there paying 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, 25, 30, 40, 50 million. Like, come on, man. Give it a rest. Give it a rest. Professor O says I have very low expectations for Trey. I have high expectations in the preseason, Professor O. Because if you're going to play against backups, you should be able to, you know, show out if he is who people want him to be. But the reason why I want to see preseason is because that's when we'll be able to see the processing. That is the most important aspect of Trey's game that needs to improve right now, especially in the West Coast offense. Good stuff, man. Chat, y'all was on it today. I knew day one we'd have a lot to go back and forth on. Again, it's day one. It's the first practice. It's a lot to take in, and we didn't even touch on everything. But they will be practicing. Hold up. I had it up. I feel like they're going to be practicing like 5-6 days in a row. So they'll practice today, ceremonies tomorrow with another practice, and I believe they're practicing Sunday and Monday. So we'll have 1, 2, 3 more practices to talk about on Monday. Maybe I'll do it with Vach. Me and Vach might come back on here and talk about some of the notes again. And then we'll have a bit of a break on Tuesday from practice. So we'll kind of just recap, gather our breath, and see where we're at, hit a reset, and we'll be back Wednesday, with another practice. Cowboys will be back Wednesday with another practice. Hey, brother L, what's good, bro? I know a lot's going on in life. We ain't see you in a minute. Hope all is well. He said, say, Sky, any mid-season trades or acquisition projections you think will make any moves or stand pat? Running back is the most popular one. Defensive tackle, though, for me. I don't think defensive tackle is going to be enough. And I think we'll see a Jonathan Hankins situation at some point. That would be where I'm at with it. I think, hell, you could argue 3 tech wise, there's not even enough depth. We all know at 1 tech, we're trying to figure that thing out. Mozzie Smith is up to 310 now. We love it. Justin Rogers is 320 plus, so he's a legitimate nose tackle guy. So you got 2 legitimate size, strength, 1 tech. When I say legitimate, that's the position, but unknown. We don't know that if they're going to be the guys. But at 3 tech, Chauncey Golson's technically your backup 3 tech at 269, 270. Also, Digizua is your starting 3 tech at 280. You just need help at defensive tackle, and I don't think they're going to do enough in camp in preseason to address it. So if there was a position for me, it's defensive tackle. Man, I could sit here and talk all day with y'all. I'm just so glad football's back, man. So glad football's back. If you enjoyed today's recap, please do me a favor, hit that like button on the way out. If you missed it, we had our guy Patrick No-C Walker give us his take, his observations, what he saw quite literally feet removed from the field. He'll be back next week. We'll have about 4 or 5, maybe even more than that, 6 practices up under our belts by then. And we'll get a really good breakdown on what he saw in the first full week of Cowboys training camp. And hopefully by that point in time, we'll get CeeDee Lamb back out there. I'm going to tell you this. If you get out there, Cowboys Nation, the day that Lamb comes back, I bet you that'll be the most attended camp practice down there. If you get down there, I guarantee you, whatever video you get of CeeDee Lamb, catching the rock, coming out the tunnel, whatever, is gonna go crazy, man. When CD Lamb comes back, it's gonna be nice, man. And I feel like you'll see some energy pick up. I know he ain't quite Dez, but he's CD Lamb, and I wasn't there. I didn't ask a question. I'll ask somebody though, but I'd imagine the energy was a little different without your top guy there. I'd imagine. Good stuff today. I'm gonna press this button and get up out of here though.
Push the goddamn button. Push the goddamn button.
Hey, Ace, and I'm like New Age Bloodline, New Age Outlaw. So we call it the Bloodline 2.0, but I know what you mean. I like the direction. There's people that's shitting on Solo Sikoa. I think his henchmen are more vicious. I love what's happening. It's setting up Bloodline 1.0, OG Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, maybe at Survivor Series. I'm excited for it. Can't wait for Roman to come back. Wrestling's up right now. And that's my wrestling talk. Love y'all. Be out of here. Peace. When Roman's music hits at SummerSlam, it's going to have a glass shatter type of pop. You just watch. Hey, congratulations to Smoke One for you. I saw you won the raffle for Law Nation and got a cool helmet, man. It's pretty dope.